Okay, Kendra, are you there? Copy that in there again if you want. Just waiting for Kendra. Hopefully we can get this figured out soon. Maybe I can start another chat with her. Oh, there she is.
Oh,
I see you.
oh my goodness. Okay, this is crazy. I still don't get why we have to do this. Wow. Okay, sorry.
No, I'm sorry too. I just want to make sure
Oh,
for my communications class, we did a whole thing, but we didn't do it on air and it didn't record and we had to redo the whole hour.
is that right?
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
I just wanted to make sure that we did it on air and not just a video call.
Exactly. Good job. I want to close out some little windows, but I don't want to lose you. So I'm going to give it a try, okay? Let's see.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I think we're okay. All right. How'd you do with your tennis match? Did you win?
We lost, but we went 3 sets. We played really hard. My friend just is coming back from a 6-month injury, so that's okay. Good exercise, and we had fun. She's so delightful that like I don't even mind, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Where do you live?
Now, I live in Arizona. How about you?
Washington State.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah, in Paulsbo, across the water from Seattle.
In what? I'm sorry.
It's a little town called Paulsbo.
Okay. I'm from Oregon. I grew up in Portland.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you come up to Seattle much then when you were living here?
I haven't lately. I mean, we did when we were growing up all the time, and you know that once the temple opened, that was our temple that we went to, was the Seattle temple. And you know, we'd go see the Seahawks because we didn't have football, and I don't know, I just always felt living in Oregon like Washington was our neighbor, you know.
Yeah, I know it's a great place, and Portland's awesome too. We love going down there. You know, tax-free stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Do you
fun.
have kids?
I do. 2. Our youngest 2 are at BYU, Idaho, attending college there, and then we have a married daughter in Texas, Austin, Texas. Yeah. How about you? You have children?
I have 5 girls, and 3 of them are at BYU Idaho right now.
Oh, fun. That's
The
cool.
oldest has already graduated, but she's married and her husband has 1 year left. So she's living there for another year. And then, so they're 24, 21, and 17. The 17-year-old just graduated early and just started there in January. So.
So you guys are empty nesters now, too?
I have 2 more.
Oh, 2
more
more
at home.
Okay.
Yeah, 13 and 15 at home.
Okay. Keep you busy, huh?
Yeah. And are yours girls or boys?
A boy in the middle. 2 girls on the end. Yeah, poor guy. But he's got some good qualities because the women, kind of forced it on him.
For sure. Yeah.
So, where are you going on a cruise?
We're going to the Caribbean.
Oh, how fun. I love that. We did that quite a few years ago on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I love it because it's with my husband's work, so it's free. And we just have to entertain clients, which is fun and no problem,
Right. Oh, you'll have so much fun. What does your husband do?
He's in air conditioning wholesale.
Okay. So he
So.
gets to, is this a something that he won by selling?
No, these are his customers. So like his top 20 or 30 customers, they earn the trip, like 5% of their what they spend goes toward this trip. And if they spend over $250,000 a year, then they get to go on the reward trip. So that's what this is.
Oh, wonderful. That's so great. And you're leaving Friday morning?
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Wow. Do you feel ready?
I'm about 3/4 the way packed. I'm about 3/4 the way done with my Prezi. I'm about, just everything it's going to get there, but the next, 8 hours will be busy.
Crazy. Oh, I totally get it. Yeah. Well, we should get going on this so you can do some stuff. I know that you're busy. So,
yeah. So did that make more sense to you then?
What's that?
Did that make more sense to you after you read the instructions? Are you clear on what we're doing and all that?
Yes and no. I'm always a little foggy, but I wrote down some stuff and we'll see how it goes. So
Yeah.
I should have sent this to you.
I know I did that too about sending it to you, but then I think that's what this is to discuss it. And then we can always email over the next week. I mean, it's not due till next Saturday, so if there's something that we see or want to add or whatever.
Oh, that's true. I felt like we had to get it in, but no, we have time. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. How do you want to go about doing this then?
I can just start from some of the things that I noticed, like toward the beginning that the therapist was saying and how that relates to, all of the risk factor, the things that we were looking at. And then feel free to stop me anytime, add, and then we can kind of just go through together. You add your stuff and I'll just try to type while we're talking so that we have something typed up of what we talked about. Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I will email you this, and then I think it might be better to have.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. Let's talk about it.
So I thought that he did a really good job at not only asking questions, but instead of putting them on the spot, he kind of, like how they said, buffered the stress effects. Like he cushioned the impact by kind of reiterating what they might be feeling and then ask them to correct if they're not feeling that way. And so like on one of them, he said, how do you let Jimmy know you're worried about him? And then they said, by calling him, by worrying. Sometimes we wonder if he's dead, and it's horrifying. And then I think that's, once he labeled that helped buffer the stress effects, and it helped overcome obstacles by cushioning the impact. Like, just so Jimmy knew, they think you're dead, maybe. They're really worried about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. I know. Wow, it was kind of fun being an observer in one of these sessions, because although I've been to counseling, and so I kind of know from that perspective, but it was kind of cool how he guided and directed them, and he kind of stopped them so that they wouldn't fight or any flare-ups, that was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, even the beginning, how I kind of found it interesting how they sat as a family at first. Did you kind of think about that? And
how they what as a family?
How they sat on the couch with the daughter in the middle and the boy on the out and kind of left out. I thought that was, sorry, I've got to plug this in. thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And then he moved them. I think that was important to kind of get them in a different situation, get them kind of feeling closer, and Jimmy wasn't left out.
Yes, I totally.
But yeah, it was, and right along with you about kind of buffering. Let's see what I wrote, because I noticed that he did a lot of reflecting and kind of repeating what they were saying so that everyone could understand. You know, how are you still there? Because you're frozen. No. Uh-oh. Might have lost. Are you still there? Okay. We're back. What happened? It just kind of froze?
It just froze, and then you froze, and then I guess you said I froze, and it said that my connection was bad, which nobody else is home. Nobody's using Wi-Fi. I don't know why all of a sudden it would be bad, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Who knows?
Sorry about that. Okay.
So yeah. I don't know. I've written down some quotes from our reading, and I don't know if that's going to be helpful or not. But the reframing and relabeling in our.
So reframing and relabeling.
Yeah, and that's when he would rephrase what they were saying so that they could all have a clear understanding of what maybe Jimmy was saying or the mom was saying. And I wrote, like I said, I wrote it all out. I could just email it to you so you can see the quote.
But also at the end, we're supposed to compare like what I found and what you found and what was different or something too. So, you know, just want to make sure we talk about some of the stuff. And then I thought that when he told the dad, he said, turn to Jimmy and tell him why dad wants to know where he is. And then the dad said, Mom is worried about you and we worry that you're dead. And I thought that was really good at providing information, because the dad is not as worried about Jimmy, but the dad is probably just a little annoyed at his wife for being so anxious and so worried all the time, because it sounds like he's trusting Jimmy more. So I thought that was a good way to provide information, and it.
Right. Yeah, that was very good. I kind of thought it was interesting that the husband, and maybe men are more like that, they're kind of more concerned about their wife than their children sometimes, where the moms are often more worried about their children, you know, than their husbands maybe. I don't know if it.
And I think it was interesting how it was kind of said but not said that, you know, it did say that the dad had more in common with Jimmy, because when they're kind of, you know, ragged on or told what to do all the time, they retreat and they get more quiet. And I think he was really relating with Jimmy and thinking, man, if, you know, she was all over my case like that too, I'd be out of there. And, you know, maybe the dad's doing that a little bit. He's working all the time and, you know.
Kind of feeling the same way, huh? A little bit like Jimmy. Right. But boy, we certainly can understand how the mom was feeling, right? Yeah. Let's see. The counselor, listens and then clarifies and repeats what the family is being said. I've already mentioned that. You have too. the counselor I found that tries to normalize these feelings, I noticed when he would say, you know, this is pretty normal and pretty typical of a family to kind of have fighting. You know, he says he kind of related it to himself. I also have a quote on that. Normalizing heightens our appreciations of each family's unique set of experiences and beliefs, as well as commonalities with other families in similar life circumstances. So he kind of makes them not feel strange or weird. I like that. You know, everyone wants to feel normal.
Yes.
You talked about a little bit about the mothers most being worried about Jimmy being dead, and she was, you know, feeling horrified, and the counselor reflects that. And so on page 139, they talk about clarifying ambiguity. It says families hold quite different assumptions and beliefs. A family coach can help family members gain information and ease their anxieties and help them cope and adapt. So, you know, he was easing the mom. You know, not that she won't have those feelings, but to also let Jimmy realize how horrifying this is for his mother. And he even said, boy, that really makes me upset too when my kids don't, you know, let me know what's going on in their lives. He could totally relate to that.
Yeah. And then I thought he did a good job at also reducing negative chain reactions when he would, I mean, just that whole explaining, I think that 20 minutes of, so Jimmy thinks that him staying away is telling them, I really miss you and I don't feel love. And then he identified how the mom and the sister yell at him and get him in trouble to show their love. And he didn't say, you shouldn't do this, but by showing each person's point of view, I think that that really was good as far as reducing the negative chain reactions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Well, it was funny how all of them kind of had those same reactions. Everyone thought that everyone was mad at the other person. Instead, they were feeling not loved and not wanted in their family.
He did such a great job at pointing out that they all want love.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I think let's see. Oh, we already talked about reframing and relabeling, right? Because the husband shuts down, the wife gets crazy. Then the counselor reflects on the mom's love for Jimmy, and that makes her act crazy because of that love. The counselor reflects on the family, how the family feels about Jimmy, and what Jimmy thinks about the family, that he's not liked by them, and Jimmy's hurting that the family doesn't love him, and so it's not easy to see that the families that hurt, that they're hurting, and because it's through anger, and they're really acting like that they want to be loved.
Yeah, I loved it. I felt like this was really good. When he said, so you think that they'll figure out that you're mad or disappointed when you leave?
Yeah.
And he said it really nice, but I think that really helped with the altering the maladaptive coping strategies. Like, without saying, you're an idiot, they don't know that you're sad or disappointed when you leave. They think you're trying to make them mad by not telling them where you're at. And anyway.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you're right. I know he just did a wonderful job, didn't he?
Yes.
Clearing up ideas. I liked how he used the metaphor of the grizzly bear.
That was so good. Yeah, I have that written down too. Before we get to that though, on the decreasing risk factors, there's a few more.
Okay.
He said, so no one knows what you're doing, only you. And then he said, it wouldn't surprise me if you couldn't be honest with us. And I think that was really good at decreasing risk factors, because and does it make sense that your sister's worried that you are drinking or smoking? And then Jimmy just tells, and nobody had to say, Jimmy, are you? And they didn't have to pin him in a corner, and he felt like he was on his side. And it really did decrease the risk factors, because now it helped mom relax a little bit more, that she knows that he's not doing it. Yeah, he's with the wrong people, but at least he hasn't gone that way yet. And hopefully with them talking, then they can, start a better path than the communication that's been going on.
Yeah, that was a good. I'm echoing. I okay, hold on. Let's see. Maybe I need my headphones on all of a sudden. Did something.
I wonder if I mute mine, maybe that would help you, if I can find the mute.
Is that better? Oh, I still hear myself. All right, I'll just try and get over it.
I'll mute mine while you're talking.
Oh, maybe that will help. Oh, yeah, thank you. I think it was great that he didn't put him in a position to make him lie. He didn't even really, like you said, didn't ask him if he was doing drugs or drinking. But he didn't put him in a position where he felt like he had to, that it wasn't wrong to tell the truth, just to come out and tell the truth. And I thought it was also interesting that he didn't tell maybe he did tell his family that he wasn't drinking or doing drugs before, and they just didn't listen. But he certainly at some point wasn't caring that they thought he was a drinker or doing drugs. He didn't care at some point. And it was probably just that because he, didn't feel loved, that, so he wasn't going to really care about what they thought of him at that point.
And I think it gets in a power struggle at that point where they're mad at him, and so he might as well just be gone, and they want to know where he's at, and so he doesn't want to tell them, and he's not doing bad things, but he's not going to give them the satisfaction of not telling, or by saying, hey, I'm not doing any of this stuff. It's just, it was just a bad spiral.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
They were in the box.
Right. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. That was good.
Okay, where were we at? Oh, and I really liked how okay, wait, I don't want to jump ahead. Yeah. Okay, so he started, I wrote down anticipating and preparing for likely and unforeseen new challenges. And so he said, how can we get to a point where we can become confident that Jimmy's not making dangerous decisions? Maybe is that something that we could work on? Where I think that was just preparing for, new challenges that were coming up. And then right after that, I thought he did a great job at enhancing the family strengths. And he really just kept saying, hey, you girls, you guys have more in common. You boys have more in common. And then the grizzly bear, that's when that happened. And you can go ahead and comment on what you were going to say about the grizzly bear, but that for sure, the enhancing family strengths right there was great.
Oh yeah. I'm still kind of hearing myself. Sorry.
Here, I can mute again.
Okay, thanks. Well, what did I have? It just says come up with a plan for the family, okay. This was how the family can, kind of come together again. And then he looked at the method of the way the family can be confident and also make adjustments for the future. And then I think that's kind of about the same time he talked about the grizzly bear and how it's natural for a mother to want to protect any predator of her child. So that's kind of that's kind of where I left off there.
And then the next, I thought he said, and And I would label this one as bolstering family and individual esteem and efficiency through successful problem mastery. And he said, so I wonder, in what ways can we have you connect? Like you were saying, what did you do as a kid? Did your parents worry? Is this new territory? Do your friends have these problems? I mean, he really just asked all that, helping them have some self-esteem while they worked through their problems and feeling successful about, so what did you do? Okay, that makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he did kind of, I thought it was good that he kind of brought the husband's parents and their relationship in to kind of make him a little more understanding as to, oh, maybe this is why I'm doing that with Jimmy. I had the same kind of example. So are we talking about their career, their plans to meet together as husband and wife and as brother and sister? Okay, that I put down on page 154, shared efforts to create a climate that maximizes the possibilities of members to be successful and to experience success as largely due to their shared efforts and abilities. So trying to bring them together and, start building on, a new way of thinking, adapting to their new circumstances and how they can help each other and strengthen each other.
Yeah, and I think strength is the right word too. But I thought that especially the last 20 minutes, he tried to enhance the family strengths, and he just kept saying, you guys are the experts. You can solve your problems better than me, and he wasn't trying to be the authority. He really wanted them to come up with their own stuff, which I think makes it so much less intimidating. So then I guess that's when he made them trade places on the couch right after the bear. And then he was really trying, once he had them trade places again, and they got, Jimmy onto the couch or whatever, then they really were, and he got the parents next to each other. Like, you guys are on a team now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I thought that was just visually and physically very telling. He, without saying, you guys need to talk as parents together and work this out and have this be great, but just him moving them together and then right away saying, maybe you guys could go on a date, and basically, without saying it, you guys need to get on the same team. You need to parent together.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was great. And, also he talked about future plans, with the kids being, moving out eventually. And that couple needs to think about how their relationship is going to be like in the future without children, adopting a positive future oriented focus. In our reading on page 151, it says families should be encouraged to consider and prepare together for such later life challenges, as retirement or as, kids moving out and things like that. So I think he kind of is transitioning them to start, basing their relationship on each other and maybe taking the focus off of the kids a little more.
Okay, and then when he asked Jimmy and Maddie maybe to go for a soda, and he said maybe a specific time would help, and I think that was increasing opportunities and abilities for success by saying, okay, what, and even on the date, saying the specific time. I just feel like that was a good way to increase opportunity for success.
Okay, yeah. Definitely. And same with the son and the husband or father, sorry. And husband and wife too. And it was so cute. I just thought it was sweet how Jimmy was like, yeah, I'll take you to the skate park. He wanted that to happen. You could tell. He was just waiting for the invitation, So, Yeah. I have found new perspectives on their relationships and understand Jimmy more. It says on page 139, making meaning. So resilience is fostered as we help them gain a sense of coherence, rendering their crisis experience more comprehensible, manageable, and meaningful. So kind of just a new way of adapting, a new they have to kind of come together again and kind of make those new relationships that were once there, but they've lost their way. So I think he did that. I think the counselor did do a good job.
Okay, and then also I can't remember if I said that, but when he was having him ask the wife out on a date and you know, just getting like the little one-on-one times, they were gaining competence, confidence, and connectedness through collaborative efforts. He was having them, you know, he's saying basically, mom and dad, talk about this together, collaborate together, and make an effort. And then kind of the same with, you know, having Jimmy and Maddie have a relationship and do their thing. And then also I think all that buffers the stress effects. It cushions the impact, helps them overcome obstacles. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, you know, when he was asking them, what will you take away from this? Oh, I thought that was so awesome, you know, and it, with Maddie saying, I won't tattle on Jimmy. There are other ways to show that I care about him. That was another good example of bolstering family and individual esteem through successful problem mastery. You know, they're just saying, okay, that's not a good way of showing him I love him.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that was very good. Very good.
Okay, so are we missing anything else that we wanted to talk about? Okay, so it says, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. I thought that it was wonderful how he brought in a little bit of gospel topic. I know in our last reading, not in this one, but they talked about transcendence and belief system, and you know how he talked about that you can have help on the other side. So I thought that was awesome that he could do that. You know, I don't know as you know, if you were to be a family counselor, how much gospel information you can bring into a setting, but he certainly brought in a little bit there. I like that.
Which part did you think he brought the gospel in?
When he said, I know as parents, you can often have outside help, you know, from the, how did he say it? Did he say heaven? Or I don't have the transcript in front of me, but he said we can receive help from the other side. I think maybe he said that. And so I just thought, yeah, that's through prayer. I mean, he didn't say that, and that's through our ancestors and people that are on the other side that are caring about their grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren or whatever, and want the best for them. So they can help guide, you know, Jimmy's parents on how best to handle him in those situations.
I also thought he did a good job at not making himself sound like the total expert and like he had all the answers. And, you know, he'd say, oh, bad joke, and oh, from some dorky guy. And, you know, that doesn't work for some people, but I thought it worked here by making him seem really human and making the family feel like they were kind of a part of the process and that he wasn't just going to hand them all the answers, but he wanted them to work together on it.
Yeah, I agree. Good. I thought that same thing.
Okay, and then in the instructions for this hangout, it said, so we noted the trends that we found. We took turns going through some of the subtle ones and the overt references. We identified points. We talked about our observation. It says, was anybody surprised by the findings or observations? I was frankly so surprised at how much they got accomplished, how much that therapist got accomplished. He got each person to admit that they loved each other, basically, that how they were showing love, at least Jimmy knew that they were trying to show love, but then he also identified it in a way that they should change the way that they're showing love because he's not feeling that. They found out that Jimmy wasn't feeling love and that he was feeling, distant or hurt or sad, and that's why he was leaving. And then, they even, understood how the mom was feeling, how each person was feeling. And then he got him, now he set up communication for the parents together, for the dad and Jimmy, and for the sister and Jimmy. I mean, I was surprised at how much, and then Jimmy said that he hadn't been using any of those things. So, I mean, I thought that was like one of the most productive, therapy sessions that you could think of, really.
I agree. It was amazing. And it was amazing that they didn't really say a whole lot of words, but this professional kind of was able to communicate for them and through them. And they all seemed to go, yeah, that you're saying the right thing. Yeah, I was surprised that Jimmy was actually quite pleasant of a boy, considering he was rejected by his whole family, and that he was well-mannered and a nice kid sitting in that room listening to some of that hard negative talk about him. So that surprised me, how nice he was and respectful, as he was kind of just staying quiet as the family members said some kind of harsh things to him. I was also surprised by finding out the feelings of each of the family members and how each one thought that the other one was mad at them, like we talked about earlier. And it was amazing how the counselor gently brought out those innermost feelings without having the family start fighting. Because you could tell it seemed like he stopped them at certain points when they were kind of wanted to say more, but he kind of would stop them. And the counselor was, like I said, really good at reflecting and saying at the end, like you said, coming together and paired them off as dates and become reacquainted as a family. So yeah, in 45 minutes time, boy, I think really a lot of their souls were healed. Some of their holes in their hearts, were softened and healed just for that little bit. Are you typing everything out?
Yes, I was going to say, sorry if it seems like I'm not listening. I'm like nodding and typing.
I'll just send you this stuff.
It's okay. I think it's good to get it, to get it organized and how we had it, and I can just send you what I have, and that's what it said. So I was going through, just our instructions for today. So we talked about that we were surprised by some of the findings or observations. And then the last point, it said, discuss and record how a treatment professional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. I mean, I really think he did a lot of those. Did you have those 4 points from Walsh's article? And that's what I was trying to incorporate in. So decreasing risk factors, I think he did that with the anticipating and preparing for threatening circumstances, reducing exposure and overload of stress. We talked about that a couple times. And then providing information. So, where is Jimmy, all that, and altering the catastrophic beliefs. And then the second point was reducing negative chain reactions that heighten the risk for sustained impact and further crisis. And he did that by helping them buffer the stress effects. It seems like Jimmy will have to tell his mom where he's going a little bit more. He might start doing that so that they don't worry as much. And so that buffers the stress impact. They altered the maladaptive coping strategies by identifying what they're all trying to say with their love is not quite working. Right. And then rebuilding, reorganizing, and reorienting in the aftermath, them each meeting alone and, you know, trying to rebuild their relationships. And then it says anticipating and preparing for both likely and unforeseen new challenges, which that I think that they probably need to work on. So how do you think they can do that, to anticipate and prepare for likely and unforeseen new challenges? So like, what if Jimmy doesn't tell them where he's going, or actually does start drinking or something? What's a way that we could suggest that a therapist could do that?
Yeah. Well, I think you'd first have to establish some rules before it gets that far. Like communicating if he's going to be late, or set a curfew time, and he needs to be respectful. Living in that house, he needs to obey the rule. And so I think you'd first need to set up some boundaries, and then come up with what happens if they're, you know, if he doesn't follow through. So what would
I
that
think establishing boundaries is perfect.
do you think that would be good? And then consequences if they're
Yeah, and I think also just them building some relationships with Jimmy will help him want to be more respectful and want to help establish boundaries. I don't think I would start right out by saying, okay, Jimmy, you have to be home by this time, and if you're not, these are your consequences. I wouldn't start that strong. I think that right now it's pretty fragile and that they need to build some trust. But I think that's what they should work toward, is setting some boundaries for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the last one, number 4, is bolstering family and individual esteem, and he faces you through successful problem mastery. And I thought he did a great job at, you know, doing it so far, like telling them, hey, you know better, and that's great. And, you know, he tried to be really positive, but I think that step definitely needs to continue as they gain some competence, as they get confidence in how they're connecting with Jimmy. You know, maybe the husband and wife are going to come together and say, okay, maybe the husband's going to, if he relates better with Jimmy, maybe the husband is the one that needs to be the one that's texting Jimmy, not when he gets mad, not when he's bugged at his wife, but just said, hey, bud, I'd like a text by midnight that says where you're at and what time you'll be home, or, you know, and just, or however they, I don't know. I just think following up on how those went.
Right. I think the father does need to be more involved. And especially with teenagers, I feel as young kids, mothers are really needed more. But when the teenagers happen, that stage, the fathers are what the kids are really wanting. I mean, that's just personal preference. But I, as a counselor, I would definitely make that relationship stronger between Jimmy and the dad. And, you know, maybe it is once a week going out on activities, or maybe it is just telling him that he loves them. More communication as far as, you know, love and acceptance more often.
One other thing that I didn't feel like they addressed that would need to be done in the future is, what's Jimmy doing with his life? He's not going to school. Is he working? I mean, I don't know how you are, but when my kids are 18, they're going to school and or working, and, you know, we don't allow them to, I mean, they've got to help and pitch in, and we don't give, you know, free room and board to people that aren't contributing. And,
Exactly.
you know, whether that's through chores or job, or, I mean, what's Jimmy doing?
I know. And, you know, well, you can tell that even Jimmy was concerned about that. And he needs guidance. You don't know at 18 or 19 or 20, or sometimes it's older. So he's really wanting his dad, you could tell, his dad's attention and guidance at this point. So there again, the relationship in that regard needs to be stronger through more sessions. They need more counseling.
Yeah. Let's see. And what about, are there any other types of resiliency factors that we didn't talk about? Oh, that last one was just managing challenge processes over time for sustained competence under duress. So for sure, you know, what are they going to do next time when Jimmy doesn't come home until 3 and they don't know where he's at and he hasn't communicated? So just over time, I think is huge and something that needs to be addressed next time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the directions for what we're supposed to do, it says in the last 15 minutes, the person who is in charge of composing the summary should share it with the group and make sure that we agree and then revise it as appropriate. And then it said it can also be done by exchanging emails or whatever. So I think that's what we should probably do. Right. Just end this, and then I'll post it on YouTube and I'll send you a link. And then I will send you what I have so far, and you sent me the one email, or you're going to send that to me of your notes?
Yep. I'll send you my notes and then check the quotes on there. Calendar those same risk factors.
Okay, and then I'll incorporate those together, and then I'll email you that. And then if you want to, you know, make changes or have me make changes or whatever, I will have access to email all week.
Okay.
And great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you meeting with me and being able to get this done. I mean, it's, you know, it's one of those things where it doesn't take that long. It's not that big of a deal, but I just didn't want to miss out on points because I'm going on vacation that 1 week when we needed to do this, you know.
That's how it works, isn't it? I mean, it sometimes doesn't work out on the same week. So, no, I'm glad to help. That was no problem. I'm sorry that I'm not savvy here. So thanks for helping me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we worked it out. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. Have a great vacation.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.